Well, let's celebrate the end of the regular season as we go into the new year. 2 playoff spots still up for grabs, but you could say the finish line for the regular season clearly in sight.
The final sprint to the playoffs is officially underway. Yesterday, the Bucs stayed alive in the race for the NFC South. But today, the Falcons can play spoiler and hand the crown to the Panthers. Last night, the Seahawks outpaced the 49ers and claimed the #1 seed, locking in home field for the rest of the run. Today, the race tightens. In the AFC, it's a 3-team contest for the top seed. The Jags, Pats, and Broncos all remain in the battle. But for Denver, the path is simple. Win, and the first-round bye is theirs. The AFC South remains a dead heat. Jacksonville and Houston are both in, but only one can cross as division champion. The other, a wild card contender. And tonight, the AFC North is still up for grabs. Can the Ravens complete the charge, becoming the 5th team to climb back from 1-5 and fly into the postseason? Or does Aaron Rodgers add another chapter to a Hall of Fame career, leading the Steelers across the line? This is the final sprint to the playoffs.
All right, let's talk about some of the teams that are reaching the finish line as playoff teams and begin with last night's game. Seattle won. They're the #1 seed in the NFC. The question is, are they the best team in the NFC?
I think last night was a cathartic, game for Sam Darnold. Needed a win like that, and their defense was dominant.
Yeah, I think so, because they've been the most consistent team in the NFC.
And they're the hottest team right now as well, and they're resilient, and they won so many different games in so many different ways.
Look at the flip side. Did that loss end the 49ers championship hopes?
I think they've been so beat up, and people just keep going down. It's so hard.
We say that, but man, they're still in there.
Yeah.
You get Pearsall back, who knows? But it is amazing that they're even in this position after all the injuries they've had.
San Fran has belief, and when you have belief, you always have a chance to win.
Yeah.
TB, the Rams, they're kind of stumbling to the finish line, but they're the second betting favorite right now to win the Super Bowl. Are they still contenders?
That's because of their quarterback, Stafford. I mean, look, they have not looked that impressive the last 5 weeks. I would jump all over the Rams because I love their quarterback. Their defense has given up over 30 points the last 2. That's a shock.
Last 5-6 weeks.
Yeah, you can't win.
What happened to that defense?
Well, they don't win on the road, and they will have to play on the road. So I think that kind of puts them behind the 8 ball.
All right, let's talk about a team that's going to have at least one home game and may get home field advantage. The Patriots went from 13 losses last year to 13 wins this year, at least. What went right?
Everything.
Schedule?
Everything.
Schedule helped.
Schedule helps, but they're blowing out every team on the schedule.
Yeah, the higher they made a coordinator. The quarterback is he's looking like one of the elite quarterbacks. A great young player, so much more athletic.
Head coach. They got a new head coach.
Yep. Culture.
He came in. Yeah, that for sure.
You mentioned Matthew Stafford.
Right.
He had probably his worst game of the season Monday night. Drake May on the other side, the same week, threw 5 touchdown passes against the Jets. Is that going to be the difference in the MVP race?
Yeah, are we like the people that picked the national championship bracket?
Yeah,
is it strength of schedule?
I think the league. I don't have anything to back that. I'm just guessing. 17 years in the league of being a great quarterback and having your best year this year, your 17th year. I think they want Matthew to have it. He had it until last week. The other guy in New England hadn't had a bad game, man.
But he hasn't had a bad game. And I'm looking at it like this, like golf. You can go in and say, man, I shot a 72. Now, you may have hit 18 of the luckiest shots of your life, but there are no pitchers on the scorecard.
Right.
Here they're looking at numbers.
5 touchdowns.
And this kid's
5 touchdowns last
are
week.
great.
Yeah. 5 by the third quarter.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Bucs.
Yeah.
The Bucs won yesterday, but they still have to root for Atlanta to lose to win the division today. You see Tampa doing anything if they make the playoffs?
No, I don't. And I'm a Tampa Bay Buck homer. They have no rhyme or reason to what they do. They have no strategy. It's like they go in to every game and they just play street ball. And if you're playing street ball, you're not going to win many games.
Gronk's been trying to talk them into winning for weeks.
I have been, but I gave up on them. I don't think they do any damage at all if they get into the playoffs.
They're filler.
Yeah.
Someone's got to be there. Might as well,
I mean, it would be a miracle.
Final question. We started by asking if the top-seeded Seahawks were the best team in the NFC. Let's talk about the AFC. Same story. Broncos, they are probably going to be the #1 seed. Are they the best team, or would you take someone else?
Sean Payton, we all love. We worked with Sean. I'd say Houston.
Yeah.
I love Houston's defense.
I think
Look, I'm a defensive guy. I love defense. To me, that's how you win.
both great defenses.
Yes.
Denver's at home. Quarterback can be hot, and Sean is great in the playoffs.
Well, you said it earlier. Duval, Jacksonville. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, they went into Denver and beat Denver at home against that great defense. Plus, you look at all these young quarterbacks in Houston and Denver and with the Patriots. Who in the world have the experience? Trevor Lawrence has more experience than all of them as far as the playoffs, making it to a divisional game a few years ago.
All right, we'll talk more about the teams that are in the playoffs and some that aren't, but we also just mentioned the Niners. Brock Purdy got banged up at the end of that game last night. Jay Glazer, the question is, what's the latest with him going forward?
Well, Brock Purdy's fine. They expect him to be good. It is a stinger, a shoulder, neck. I know they showed his thumb as well. Thumb's not an issue, but they think he'll be fine for the playoffs.
All right, Michael's Jaguars have won 7 straight. What has Liam Cohen been able to unlock down there?
Look, I spent about a half hour this morning talking to Liam about his quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. Look, going into the year, he didn't know about him. He certainly does now. He said the biggest thing is earlier in the year, I think he was just so afraid to throw interceptions. All his passes were like short. He said, dude, just let it rip. His sweet spot is 15 to 30. And once he started pushing the ball down the field and started using his legs together, we have a dual threat. He is in love with Trevor Lawrence.
By the way, Cohen was a big hire last year. You'll give us the full coaching carousel update just a little bit later on in the show. But the question is, will a current head coach right now be a top candidate for another team in the coming weeks?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you why. So, league rules, you can't interview anybody except on Zoom, nobody in person, until January 19th, unless you're unemployed. Kevin Stefanski, Browns coach, will be unemployed very soon here, and as a result, he'll go to the top of a lot of these lists because you can interview him in person.
Well, he's won 2 Coach of the Year's awards over the last 5 years, so we'll talk more about him and the other coaches that may be in or out.